So the Israelites are liberated from slavery in Egypt, and they set out on this journey through the desert to their new home in Canaan. But right away, they get anxious because it's the desert and there's no water, and because they didn't take a lot of supplies with them. Where are they going to get food from? And so almost instantly, we hear the Israelites complaining. Would that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full, for you have brought us out into the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. And notice that they're complaining to Aaron and Moses. Now I think what's going on here is that the Israelites have just come out of generations of servitude and slavery to the Egyptians. And they're still thinking like people who are underlings. They're still looking for their leaders to provide for them, for human leaders, overlords, to make sure they have what they need, and in return give them service and loyalty. And I think what God's wanting to teach them is that ultimately the only ruler, the only king, the only leader, the only provider that they should really be relying on is God, who is the creator and giver of everything in the world. And that's what their wilderness journey, these 40 years, is about, is unlearning their dependence and slavery to human overlords and masters, and learning a new way of being which relies on God the creator and provider who loves human beings. And so what God does is really interesting. God's response to their grumbling is to give them manna. What's manna? Well, manna is described as this strange food substance that God gives in the morning. It appears, and the people can gather it. But there's one rule. You don't hoard it. You don't keep it stockpiled. Because if you do, then it'll rot and it goes bad after a day. And of course, some people try that, right? They try to make a manna storehouse for themselves so that they can probably, I don't know, sell it to other people, make a profit, be the person who has the most manna. But God doesn't want that. God wants us every single day to start from scratch and rely for every day's food and every day's sustenance and every day, everything that we need on God alone. It is a way of life that seems crazy to those who are used to the normal human hierarchies, capitalism and government bureaucracies, all the sort of ways that we have tried to make human life a little bit more livable. But ultimately what God is pushing us towards is be in complete reliance on God alone. To pray daily, as it says in the Lord's Prayer, for our daily bread, and receive it with gratitude, no matter what it is. This, the Bible tells us, is the way of true freedom. Whatever we are enslaved to right now, whatever addictions or hang-ups, whatever toxic relationships, internal anguish, external oppression, whatever we are in servitude right now, that is not our destiny. Our destiny is to become free human beings. And the way we enter into this is by giving everything we are and have into the hands of God, and then being so free that we can generously pass it on to all of our neighbors who need it, without having to worry if we're going to have enough tomorrow. This is the way of Jesus that he showed us in his life, and also on the cross when he died for all of humanity. A way of generosity and radical self-gift. And this is our way, that we, like the Israelites who are on their learning journey in the desert, we too are on a learning journey right now, learning this way of true humanity.